Welcome to the Multifarious Man podcast, episode 605, Tailor Made. As always, I am your host, John Michael Vincent, aka the Multifarious Man. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Multifarious Man and find links to all the previous episodes of the show along with essays and reviews at multifariousman.com. Now you can even leave a voice message for the show that may even appear on a future episode. The Multifarious Man voice line is 904-419-3561. I repeat, 904-419-3561. Today's episode is a supersized episode where I am joined for the very first time by the Multifarious ladies, my daughters, Savannah and Sahara. Now, this was the perfect time for them to join the show because if the episode title didn't give it away, this episode is all about Taylor Swift. Now, my daughters happen to be the two biggest Taylor Swift fans that I know. In our wide-ranging interview, they tell me about how they were first introduced to Taylor's music, their favorite songs, favorite albums, and what their thoughts are about Jake Gyllenhaal and the song All Too Well, the 10-minute version, from Taylor's newly released album, Red, Taylor's Edition. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Numerous and varied, greatly diverse and manifold. All the things I want to say that never been told. Demon Sinatra to Drake and Pharrell. When I'm listening to this week, you can never tell. Bogey and Bacall, even Meryl Street. The devil wears Prada, even the big sleep. It doesn't matter where you stand. I'm the multifarious man.
Welcome back to the Multifarious Man podcast, episode 605, Tailor Made. Like I said in the opening, today's episode is going to be all about Taylor Swift and all of her albums. Now, joining me today, I'm very excited. These are the two biggest Taylor Swift fans I know, and they actually happen to be family, my daughters. So I would like to introduce them right now. Starting with my eldest daughter.
Hi, I'm Savannah.
And I'm Sahara.
I thought they were going to introduce themselves more than that.
You wanted
my life story?
However you guys want to do it. Let me just say, I'm excited. I've been doing this podcast for going on 6 years now. My daughters listen to the show, but this is the first time they've actually been on the show. So I'm really excited. And the fact that it's Taylor Swift, who they've been listening to for years, and they talk about her all the time. They always tell me about when her music's coming out. So I thought this would be a good topic. So that being said, and I don't know if we talked about this before we started recording, I would like each of you to tell me how you were first introduced to Taylor Swift.
I have the best stories for this.
Okay, so this is Savannah talking.
Yes, so I don't know if this is the first time I heard her, but it probably is, but my earliest memories of listening to Taylor were actually driving home from soccer practice with Dad. And we would be listening to our song in the car and screaming it out the windows coming home from soccer. I'm all gross and sweaty, but not too tired to belt Taylor at the top of my lungs. So her original album, I think, Our Song for sure, and then Teardrops on My Guitar, definitely the oldest songs I think of when I think of Taylor Swift, and those are my oldest memories associated with her.
Okay. Sahara?
Mine's a bit different. I didn't really get into her until Fearless or Red came out, because of course her first album dropped when I was a year old, actually on my first birthday. But of course, mostly listening to her was from my older sister and my dad, playing her in the car, playing her around the house, Kids Bop, whatnot.
And I can talk about Kids Bop. I thought was always the funniest thing, especially when it came to Taylor Swift when she was younger, because she was actually a teenager and they would actually get other teens and preteens to sing Taylor Swift, which I thought was weird. They could have just put Taylor Swift on the Kids Bop, but I think she was on Now That's Music or whatever it's called. So you, and just for point of reference, so Savannah's 19 and Sahara is 16. Don't shake your head at me. I know how old you are.
Are you sure?
You know what? I love having daughters. And they give me a hard time, but that's okay. So I think, Sahara, you said that your earliest memories are from when you were younger, hearing me and your sister play it and you singing along. I think in one of our passing conversations, and before we get into your favorite albums and favorite songs and all those things, you mentioned at one point some video that you used to watch maybe when you were 9 or 10, and you would play it all the time, not understanding anything about it. But can you tell me about this, and what's the video, and how did you view it?
Okay, so the You Belong With Me video, that's the song from her album Fearless, and that came out in 2008, 2009. I was maybe 3 or 4 at the time. It came out when I was real young. And the first time I watched the music video, I was a bit older, of course. I didn't have YouTube privileges when I was little, but I was maybe 8 years old. And in the video, it's Taylor Swift, and she plays 2 different characters, like herself and like the mean girl, head cheerleader, all that stuff. And it took me years to realize, like, it was recently, maybe in the past year or 2, that I realized it was Taylor Swift playing both parts. Like, she was a mean girl and herself. And, like,
it was very obviously her.
Looking at it now, it's very obvious. Like, they put an awful wig on her.
It was a bad wig and maybe, like, colored contacts, if
like,
that.
she looked exactly the same, but I did not know for the longest time. I was just so young. I'm like, who's this actress? Same person. What? So
it's like that Lil Nas teaser for that last song he dropped when he was like the prison guard and the prisoner, and it was at the end, it was like Lil Nas as himself and Lil Nas as the guard. Wait, that was pretty much it.
You guys do know that Miley Cyrus was Hannah Montana, right?
Nah, she wasn't.
Some people still don't know, and I can't believe you just outed her like that.
Spoiler alert.
You haven't finished the show.
All right. So we kind of talked about that, and I thought that was a good tidbit. So what I'd like to talk about now is, all right, you two can't keep making gestures at each other throughout the episode, because this is going to be a 10-hour episode at this rate.
You didn't have to stop. You said tidbit, and I said, what did he call me?
You just got that out.
You know what? We can't have inside jokes on the show that people don't know about.
Well, no one else would have known we were gesturing at each other if you didn't call attention to it. This isn't a video. It's a podcast. Same way we tell you have a face for radio, face for podcasting.
You know, is it too late to book another guest for the show? All right.
We're still getting paid.
Back to being serious. I know I asked you guys in advance to make lists. All right. So to start off, and each of you gets a chance, I want you to tell me, and we'll start first, favorite Taylor Swift song.
Okay, I'll go first. My favorite song is Enchanted, hands down, her off of Speak Now, track number 9. My favorite song of all time, no questions asked.
Okay. Why?
You
didn't expect that.
Have you heard it?
I mean, yeah, have you heard? It's 5 minutes of pure perfection. I mean, you can laugh at the song and like still cry at the same time. It's the perfect song.
Okay. Savannah?
Mine is also from Speak Now, and it's Dear John, which is another long song. It's a good 5-6 minutes, which I just love her longer songs. It's just, more time to like cry over her and listen to her. So that's good. Also, it's very man-hating, and I love that.
Okay, man-hating. And this may be a topic throughout, and first and foremost, as a father, I have to say,
I approve.
I will come after anyone that comes after Taylor Swift and her subject matter, who she dates, who she writes about. People should be allowed to experience life. Don't be mad if you date someone that happens to be a talented songwriter, all right? If you knew who she was when you walked in the door. So if you were a bad actor, and I don't mean that in any punny way, when you're dating her, then that's on you. All right.
They knew she was trouble when they walked in.
There was this one interview.
There's gonna be a lot of song puns.
And she's like guys, when I break up with them, or when we break up, he's like, you're not gonna write a song about this, are you? And she goes, oh, of course I'm not. And then I write a song
The
about
song
it.
was probably already written.
So, Dear John, you mentioned that one. Who is Dear John about? I have to ask.
Oh, yes. So if y'all haven't been keeping up with Red right now, where All Too Well is ragging on Jake Gyllenhaal the whole time, Speak Now was the predecessor to that. And in Speak Now with Dear John, it was her ragging on John Mayer. It was a very similar situation where she was dating a man much older than her. And there's this one line that I really resonate with now because I'm 19. And the line is, don't you think 19's too young to be messed with? Because he was like 30 at the time dating this 19-year-old girl. So the same way that All Too Well is like her like screaming at Jake Gyllenhaal, Dear John is her screaming at John Mayer for pretty much the same thing. So clearly these men don't learn. There's nothing. It's just a great song.
I just leave it alone. And, anyone that's listened to this show before, I am a fan of John Mayer's music. But as a father, I'm going to take a step back here, and I'm going to side with Taylor on this one.
I'd kick you out if you
As the
didn't.
father of a 19-year-old who could get her own Dear John.
At 32 years old.
Yeah. My personal belief is, at 19, you're considered an adult. Heck, at 18, you're considered an adult. But there is a vast difference in life experiences for an 18, 19-year-old and a 30-year-old man. And I'll just leave it at that. All right. So you told me your favorite songs. So, favorite album. Who wants to go?
I'll go. So
Sahara.
usually I wouldn't like pick the same album for my favorite song and favorite album, but
you would.
Speak Now, shut up. But Speak Now is my favorite album. That's the song Enchanted is off. That's the album Enchanted is off of. And it's such a whirlwind album. They have like such like happy songs, and then you're crying the next minute. Like there's no in between. You're either jamming along to The Story of Us or you're crying to Haunted. Like you can't listen to it on shuffle. It's just a whirlwind because
it's like Hamilton on shuffle.
We could
rapping
have
and jumping.
we could have a whole episode
Or
about
Red on
Hamilton.
shuffle.
That may be coming soon.
That's not okay.
Next time Savannah comes back, it'll be a Hamilton episode, so we can get to that. All right, Savannah, favorite album.
Also, Speak Now. You just can't beat Speak Now. There's so many iconic songs on that album. It's 2010's like a decade old now. The way I grew up listening to these songs, there's not a single bad song. Not like Taylor has any bad songs, but every single song.
So no
Speak
skips.
Now is a banger.
So
It's a
basically no skip.
It's for
I
sure.
mean, I have a lot of no skip albums, but this is my favorite no skip album.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, and I'll jump in here, even though I didn't weigh in on favorite songs. I'm actually gonna weigh in and talk about favorite album. For me, you know what? As my daughter Sahara is whispering 1989. Yes, it is 1989. And I have a very good reason for this.
That sounds
You don't
right.
need a good reason. It's a great album.
It's a great album, but I want to say the album before Red is when Taylor first started really to
Pop.
move into the pop direction. So in Red, you had 22.
I Knew You Were Trouble.
I Knew You Were Trouble.
We
so
Are Never,
songs like that.
we
So
are
it's like we're
Ever-
never gonna get back together again. So songs like that, it was like, wait a minute, she's not singing country anymore. She's a pop singer. Not that there's anything wrong with country. I actually like country.
There's a lot of things wrong with country, but that's a whole other issue.
That's a whole nother episode. All right, we're not ragging on country in this
You
episode.
living in Nashville.
Says the girl that lives in Nashville. That's a good point. So, 1989, and I think because I like pop music. I also like hip hop. I like a little bit of everything. But 1989, I think from start to finish, and I don't know. I think I'm caught between Blank Space and I don't know. Shake It Off is just a fun song, but it's Blank Space and probably Bad Blood. The remix with Kendrick Lamar.
Of course.
Let's make that point.
Yes.
Make that very obvious.
So, and speaking as their father who introduced them both to Taylor Swift. So when you're a parent, you have a unique position. You kind of want your kids to like the things that you like, whether it's teams, movies, things like that. But you also want to expose them to positive things. Now, one of my children, I won't mention who, the older one, really likes hip hop. And she may or may not have grown up listening to me play Eminem,
NWA,
Jay-Z, Biggie, the Kids Bop versions. Maybe I
They don't
had
make Kids Bop Kanye version.
Mom's not
maybe
listening in.
maybe I had XM. Maybe it might have been not the radio edit version. So Taylor Swift was
expanded
safe.
my vocabulary for sure.
Taylor Swift was safe because here was this young lady that, you know, was singing songs. She was writing. I thought it was a positive influence, and to have something that my daughters could actually sing along to, that I could actually listen to also, because you know, some of the stuff they listen to, Justin Bieber.
Don't you hate on Baby?
Look, maybe some of his later stuff, but
Never Say Never was elite, and you know it.
Was his best stuff.
Yeah, his new stuff.
I don't
listened
know.
to current Justin Bieber like
I don't know.
still
What's the
listen to
new
old
What's the
Bieber.
new album with the
I couldn't even tell you the
where
name of his most
he's
recent
what is
album.
it? What's the song? It's about a fruit.
I get
Yummy?
my peaches out
Lemonade.
in Georgia.
Peaches. I said lemonade. Yummy? No, peaches.
That's a song he has. He has a song.
That's a
Yeah,
good
that
song.
yummy,
And what's the song where his mother doesn't like the girl?
That was the last album
Love
I
Yourself.
think I listened to.
Love Yourself.
But that was
Which
like
I think
6
was
years ago. That was
which I
Purpose.
think
That was
was
Purpose.
written by
2015. That was his last album that I enjoyed.
wasn't that written by Ed Sheeran?
Probably.
Somebody else wrote it.
That's why.
and it was a good
That's
song.
why it's a good song. Then.
But my point is to have something that you can listen to in the car with your children that's not Kids Bop, because I wanted to strangle the Kids Bop kids.
Yeah, it was Ed Sheeran. I just looked it up.
Okay. Why do I know that? I'm not
you're
a
a
Justin
nerd.
Bieber fan. Yeah. All right. They both said in unison, I'm a nerd. You know what? I'm going to have to start vetting guests a little bit more, because
If you paid us better, we would have been nicer.
all of this fabulousness that you have, those fancy ring pops that you have.
That I stole from a job anyway. I didn't steal
You
that.
don't-
If you're listening, my boss, I didn't
Yeah,
steal
Kim,
these.
if you're listening, we
Wasn't
don't
us.
take these.
You don't get ring pops and mints and water everywhere you go. I made that happen. All right. Either way, so that being said, that's my favorite album, and I'm happy that my children actually listen to Taylor Swift, so I could listen to something and not have my ears bleed, because there's some parents that have to listen to Baby Shark or some other nonsense or Kids Bop's version of Kanye West, which would probably drive me crazy. So that being said, the biggest, or the task that I gave both of you, that I think you said you've been like poring over and thinking about over and over again, I asked them to each put together an album. So this would be, you could take any song from any of Taylor's discography and create your own. First I said maybe 12, 13 tracks, but they were having trouble.
I pushed to 16 against
So
his
we
will.
pushed it to 16. It's basically an extended track.
deluxe edition.
It's the deluxe
Including bonus
edition,
tracks.
bonus tracks, hidden
Acoustic
tracks,
versions.
acoustic, long
Original
palm
demo.
sessions,
10-minute version.
10-minute versions, and we're gonna get into that whole 10-minute all too well. But either way, you're up now. Who wants to go first? Or we could go back and forth. You know, nose goes doesn't work on audio podcasts.
Sahara did nose goes, so I will start us off. We could go back and forth, or
That makes
we can
sense.
kinda go in order. Okay.
Wait, question. Are we doing it like in album order? Because I didn't really like make a specific order except for my
What?
first and last.
Well, you tell me.
So mine have a general order-ish. I feel like my first songs are definitely distinct from my last songs, but then kind of in the middle, it's all over the place.
So you kind of shuffled it, each of you.
So the thing was,
First and last are important, but like the middle, it's
Okay.
very hard to determine
yes,
what
my
goes in what
first
order.
has significance, my last has significance, or even I feel like mine, I want it to be like super cool and have like a loss of innocence thing kind of going with like some like her more happier things at the beginning, and then like her reflective, introspective stuff at the end. But there were just too many good songs.
Okay.
So, I started with Our Song because, again, that's the song that got me hooked on Taylor Swift. That's, like I said earlier, that's what really just got me there. So Our Song comes from her debut album, so I was like, that's where I need to start. So that was definitely my first one. And then like my last song is Clean. Clean came off 1989, and it's just such a light, airy, like sad. It's not even sad though.
Melancholy?
Melancholy, that's the good word for it. Because like the stages of grief, the last one isn't depression, it's acceptance. So it's almost like that stage of grief, where you're like past it and like forgive but not forget type thing. So Clean is my end. So those were kind of important, but everything else in the middle is kind of, it's all over the place.
Okay. So you want to give your first and last, and then we'll break them down each.
So I like the way I set up my album. I have a very important first and last song, but then like two specific songs in the exact center, because it goes from like nice and happy to like intense and sad and angry, and then back to nice and happy again. But my first song is "State of Grace" off of Red, Taylor's version, of course.
Yeah, if we're not listening to the original anymore,
Not the stolen version. But I think State of Grace is just such a perfect song to start off an album. It's very calm and happy. It's just a good introduction to start off an album. I also just love the song in general. Like it's always one of my favorite songs, and Red's actually one of my top 3 albums, so of course it has a special place for me. And then my final song is once again my favorite song, Enchanted. Because once again, just that happy, get that closure. You slow down the album and it ends on that, like, it's happy, but it's kind of sad at the same time. But, like, overall, she's not, like, angry in this song, so.
Angry. Okay.
I love angry Taylor, though.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Next, back to Savannah.
Okay, are we going back and forth like 2, 2, 3, 3?
You guys
or am I
too.
just going through
You can go
myself?
back and forth like Venus and Serena.
Okay, my number 2 is Today Was a Fairy Tale, Taylor's version. This comes off of Fearless. And this is just a very, like, happy song. Like, it has that same feeling of, like, Long Live, which is another one of mine, or any of hers, where she's, like, a proposal or something happy. It's just, I don't know, when you're thinking of fairy tales, like, that's the happy Taylor I like picturing versus, like, the angry, mad, sad Taylor, which turned out some great songs. But, like, this is, like, that innocence of it. I don't know. It's just a good song. I have good memories of it. Because it was on one of her earlier albums, it's one of the songs I've been listening to for the longest. So I just like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Not you changing stuff. I see your pen.
I didn't have a specific order, so I'm like writing it down as I go.
Do you want me to do my songs while you figure out an order? Slacker?
No, I have a second song already. So for my second song, it'd be How You Get the Girl from 1989. And it kind of just goes like the storyline of my album. Like, it starts off happy, and How You Get the Girl, it's very upbeat, very poppy. Just a good way to segue into the more intense stuff.
Okay.
That's fair. Okay. Third one is Long Live. This came off of Speak Now. Again, favorite album that just does not miss. And again, it's just a song that I've been listening to since I was a kid. Elementary, middle, high school, college. I just have so many strong memories tied to Long Live. I don't know. And again, it has that same fairy tale vibe as the previous song. She's talking about like a kingdom light shining on me and you. So like she's almost a princess. That's what it is. I think I just like princess era Taylor, where she sees herself like as a princess in a castle and like needs a knight to come save her, or like everything's it's just cute.
Okay.
Okay. So for my number 3, I'd probably have to go with New Romantics, which is another one of my favorite songs by her. It's a bonus track off 1989, and it's definitely my favorite song off 1989. Why she made it a bonus track, I don't know. It needs to be on the original album. But I just love how, like, it's perfect pop music for me. Like, this is the epitome of pop music. Like, when I think of pop, this is what I think about, because it's so upbeat and happy, and, like, you can't be mad when you're listening to, like, if I'm sad, like, I can't listen to this song and I can't be sad anymore. Like, you can't feel bad listening to this song. It's not possible.
Okay.
Okay, so my next song is also a 1989 bonus track, You Are in Love. And following my first few, it's still very innocent. She's very happy. She still has this, like, idealistic view of love and romance, and it's still that, like, whirlwind type thing. It's just a very happy, like, but still calm. It's not super, like, pop, like, heavy beat or anything. Like, this is a song I would fall asleep. Oh my gosh, that's what it was. 1989 was the album I would play in my CD player to, like, fall asleep to at night.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of elementary or middle, however old I was. But I distinctly remember falling asleep to this album. So that'll do it. That's what it was.
Okay.
I'm sorry, which number are we on?
I just did my 4. So
4, okay. So to round us out, my number 4 is the third bonus track from 1989. We have Wonderland.
I'd like to point out again that 1989 is my favorite album, so it just seems really interesting that it wasn't either of your favorite albums, but you've already both picked multiple songs from 1989 to go onto your all-time Taylor album.
It's important.
Okay.
Well, 1989 has the best deluxe tracks of all the albums, and
Yes.
that's no questions asked. Like, those
No
three
clue why
songs
they weren't there in
are
the first
probably my
place.
favorite, like, top 10 of all songs ever. Like, it was very hard for me to not put You Are in Love on this list.
We were fighting over songs.
Okay.
But those songs
We were trying
were
not to have duplicates.
You know what? And I'm gonna talk about that. And this is to all musicians, artists, bonus tracks, hidden tracks. Look, stop it. We don't like it. If the song is a banger, if it's good, it needs to be on the original album. It's probably easier now with streaming and things like that where you can have bonus tracks and, it's not like it's not hard to listen to it. But I remember the days of audio tapes and vinyl records. And no, it's not nice to have hidden tracks, where you listen to an album and then you got to wait.
Prince.
Let's not even talk about Love Sexy. It's one track. Why? Why one track? Sure, we got to listen to everything, but that's just not fair. But anytime you have a hidden track, and I'm talking to you, Jay-Z, and everyone else that does it, where you think the album's over, and only by chance you fall asleep and you're listening to it, and then after nothing, 3 minutes of nothing, suddenly there's a whole nother song on there, or 2 or 3 other songs. Like, yeah, there was one of the Jay-Z albums, I want to say Volume 2, where at the end there was like 3 bonus tracks.
That's mean.
It's like, why do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you do that to people? To prove that we're super fans? We're already super fans.
Why did we have to wait a decade to get all these hidden vault songs from Taylor?
We'll talk about that in a second. Let's round this out. I won't go off on too many other tangents if I can help it. But go. Number 5. Oh, you wanted to say
another
something?
point. Like, I remember specifically because we own most albums, but I'm waiting for Taylor's versions to get the rest of them. But 1989, we got like the week it came out. And I remember maybe a couple months ago, I was at work and I was listening to the album on my phone, and it got to the end, and I'm like, "Where's the rest of it? We apparently didn't have the deluxe edition." So
we got it when it first came out.
And I was like, it was a Saturday morning, I was by myself, so I log out of work, I walk over to Walmart next door, get an iTunes gift card, download the next 3 songs, all 3 bonus tracks, and go back to work. Just because I was so upset that these 3 songs were not on the
Because
album.
I remember falling asleep and Clean was the last song I heard.
And I'm
Which
like,
again
where's
was
New
at the end of
Romantics?
my album.
Oh, and even worse, what's worse what they used to do, and I'm talking to you, Taylor, because you would do this too, is when an album would come out, and this was when people were still buying CDs, and what people would do is you'd have to get the Target edition. You'd have to get the Walmart special edition. You'd have to get the Amazon Music edition. You'd have to get the Zune Music edition. Yeah, I had the Zune player from Microsoft. Great player.
I
But
thought Zoom was like a web program.
no, that's Zoom. I said
U-N-E,
Zune.
like
Z-U-N-E.
Rune or Dune.
It's
Yeah.
so stupid.
Yeah, I know. It was a great music player. But again, I'm talking to all of you where you forced us to buy multiple versions of an album just to get all of the songs.
And I will still pay every cent to Taylor Swift, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
That's just wrong to do to your fans.
she does it because she knows we'll pay for it because it's her.
Yeah, this
Anyone
is
else? But Taylor, yeah, for sure.
true. All right.
Take my money.
What are we up to? 5 for you two?
5. 15.
Okay.
Taylor's version. But this was off of Fearless, so again, another old song that I grew up with. And still, it's just very innocent. Like, when you're 15 and somebody tells you they love you, you're going to believe them. Like, that is so cute and so heartbreaking at the same time when you think of it. Also, originally, when I was thinking of order, and I think I was thinking too much of the order of my songs, I was going to put 15 right before Dear John.
Because of the age.
Because,
Okay.
yeah. And then I was like, that's kind of mean. And I have a lot of other songs I need to fit in here, and I like the spacing of it. But yeah, 15's at the end of kind of like my Innocence era in
Okay.
terms of my album that I made.
All right, Sahara. Number 5.
Number 5 for me is Paper Rings from Lover.
This is the newest of albums that we've included a song because we up until now we haven't had anything from Lover, from Evermore,
Folklore.
and Folklore.
And Reputation.
And Reputation.
Don't worry, they're coming. Here's the next few for me at least.
Yes, but Paper Rings, it took me a really long time to get into Lover. Like, I don't remember what it was. Like, I don't know why I refused to listen to it, but, like, it came out in, 2019? And, like, I refused to listen to it at first.
Recent?
Yeah.
You're lying.
And then quarantine happened, and I heard Paper Rings. I'm like, wait a second, where was... And I'm like, what is this? And I was so excited. Like, it's once again another very, very happy, upbeat song. Like, I know my dad and sister love rap or hip hop or whatever nonsense. I'm a pop girl all the way. Don't give me that nonsense.
So was Reputation the last tour she did before
Yes.
COVID?
Yes, because
Because she was gonna do.
And she was gonna do Loverfest, and then COVID, and now we can't go. I'm like, I understand that it's COVID like precautions, it makes sense, but
still.
but it's been 3 years. When's it gonna happen, babe?
Okay, Savannah, back to you. Number 6.
Number 6. So my next song is my first Lover song. There's actually 5 Lover songs that 5?
Okay.
4? There were 4 Lover songs that I was like, arguing over, and only 2 made it to my album. So honorable mentions first off are going to be It's Nice to Have a Friend and Death by a Thousand Cuts. Beautiful songs. But my favorite versions of her Lover songs are actually live from Paris. So if you haven't listened to the live versions of these songs, like when she's at the concert,
Okay.
easily 10 times better than what's on the album. And I
Okay.
don't know why. I think maybe just little voice changes or like things she does differently.
Arrangement.
But it's
things
just
like
beautiful.
that. Okay.
So number 6 is The Man.
Okay.
Live from Paris specifically.
I know that song.
Just
I actually like it.
I'm so sick of run. Yeah,
I don't know if I like it because it's just a good song or that it was on a commercial.
What commercial?
I don't know.
What are you talking?
Something from that album was in a commercial,
It's
but
just
The Man is a good song.
It's a
All right.
very good song, and it has such a good message. Like, like you guys all talk about me, but like, if I were a man doing all this stuff, getting with all these people, making all this money, then I would be praised. But because I'm a woman, y'all are talking crap about me. So it's just, the message is great, the song is great, and her voice live, beautiful.
Okay. Clock is ticking. Sarah.
Oh, sorry, we're at 6 now?
Yes.
Okay. My number 6 is The Very First Night, Taylor's version from the vault, off of Red. And like going with my trend, it is a very happy song. It's reminiscent. I just love her happy songs. And I remember the first, I love all of her vault tracks, especially off of Red. These are probably my favorite 10 songs off of Red at all. I love those songs so much. And trying to fight to pick songs out of that 10, it was very, very painful.
Now, let me ask this something, both of you. Maybe these songs from the vault, were these songs that were actually recorded during the time she was recording these albums and then she just never released them? Or what do you know about it?
They were definitely written back then, but I'm pretty sure the voices that were here, what she just released, these were recently.
Yes. Okay.
These
are
it's
definitely
her voice now versus her
Okay.
voice at
so
20.
so it's possible she did record
Yes.
a
They
version
probably
back
were. There are
then,
probably
but they just
versions
didn't
of
make
her
they didn't
at
make
didn't
the
make the
album.
cut for the album.
Okay. They didn't make
But
the
she
album.
couldn't get
Okay.
it on the album, which is why, and we'll talk about All Too Well later, but why some of the things she said in All Too Well 10-minute version, she wrote these lyrics a decade ago, and the way that they apply now,
They hit
great.
hard. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going.
Okay, next one I have was a 7, Invisible String. This is going to be my first folklore song. Now, the reason I like Invisible String, I'm not going to lie, it's not my favorite song on Folklore. Not to say I don't love every single song on that album, I just have others I like better. But in Invisible String, in the very second line, she mentions sitting on a bench in Centennial Park. Now, I live in Nashville during the school year. I'm in Centennial Park all the time. It's a 5-minute walk from my dorm. It's beautiful. They have the Parthenon where you can kind of sit. There's lots of different, benches. There's activities and festivals and carnivals they hold there all the time. Or even just when the weather's nice, having a picnic with the girls or going over there to do homework after class. So when Folklore came out, this was maybe right when I went to school freshman year. And she mentioned Centennial Park. And I was this Centennial Park, the one I can see from my dorm room window. So specifically because of that, I've spent a lot of time up at that park. So I really like the song. So I'm I know where this is. I'm there all the time. What if I'm just chilling in Centennial one day and I just happen to run into Taylor Swift? So, Taylor, if you see this and you ever want to come by Centennial, I will be there.
Excellent.
Okay, so for my number 7, I have Dancing with Their Hands Tied from Reputation. I'm sorry, yeah, so Dancing with Their Hands Tied. And this is another album that took me a while to get into. Not as long as it did for Lover, but, like, this was, like, during the time where everyone was, like, hating on Taylor Swift and stuff. I mean, I love the album. But it just took me a while to hear. Like, I didn't hear it, like, full through until a couple months after it came out, and this is just one of my favorite songs from the album. It's such a good song. I love the beat of it and the bridge, and I love it so much.
Taylor Swift and bridges. What? Oh,
I don't even go over the track nines.
This girl's just the queen of a good bridge. Like, her choruses are great, her intros are great, but no one writes a bridge like Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Engineers are like quaking,
is this like dancing to this sick beat?
My ex-man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the one I would be talking about.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
an example.
That's a weakest of all the bridges.
It's a weak
Yes,
bridge, but
it's
it's an example.
beautiful,
If someone doesn't know what a bridge is, that's a prime example of one of her bridges.
Usually, like, after, like, the second time she sang the chorus, and it's, like, before the last
chords
time
are a
she
little
sings the chorus,
different,
her voice
and-
changes, or sometimes it'll be the part she sings without music behind it. It's just great.
Okay.
What was that? Oh, yeah, my turn. Are we on 8?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is my first and only Reputation song on here. Not that I don't love Reputation. There were just so many other good songs I need to fit on here. But it's New Year's Day. Beautiful. First of all, just the piano and the music in there. Like, forget the lyrics. The music itself is beautiful. And then the lyrics, it's just very soft and, like, airy. It's just I can't think of a word other than beautiful. It's a beautiful song. And then also, New Year's Day has gotten a lot more traction lately because of Olivia Rodrigo. Now, when she dropped Sour, people were saying, oh, this song, we all knew she grew up on Taylor Swift the same way I grew up on Taylor Swift. Olivia's not too much younger than I am. But New Year's Day was sampled on One Step Forward, Three Steps Back on Olivia's album. So if you ever get a chance to listen to that, you can hear it. It's the same piano in the beginnings. Like, you immediately hear it. You're like, oh, my goodness. So that's how good the song is, that even Olivia was like, I need this on my album.
That's a very good album by Olivia Rodrigo. I've listened to it, and if you haven't ever listened to it, imagine if someone channeled Taylor Swift, Hayley Williams from Paramore,
yep.
Alanis Morissette, and maybe even a little bit of, who's the skater boy?
Avril Lavigne. I knew who you were thinking about.
Yes. Because
And-
Avril Lavigne and
yeah.
Paramore, I feel like, kind of on
Yeah.
the same wavelength. Yeah, for sure.
And it's not, and like I say, it's not, she's not copying it. You can just tell she was influenced. And this is in the same way, and I'll fight anyone that disagrees who says, Lady Gaga basically is just stealing from Madonna. No, she grew up on Madonna.
She grew up listening to her.
And you can tell her music is heavily influenced by it, but she does her own thing. But I digress. Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, number 8 for
Number
Sahara.
8. Number 8, also off Reputation, is King of My Heart. And I love King of My Heart because I just love the beat of it. Like, I think that's my favorite song off Reputation. Not gonna lie, I love that song so much. And hearing her perform it, like, live from, like, her tours and stuff. Like, I didn't go on tour, but, like, seeing all the video clips from it, like, I love that song so much.
All right, number 9. I'm going to call out my beautiful wife who just walked through. She did tell me that 1989 is her favorite album.
You are so full of it. She said Red.
You're more than welcome to say something.
I hope you guys know this is a pattern of him getting things wrong and not listening to Mom.
She might have meant 89.
No, she
but
very
I
much
heard
said
Red.
Red, yeah.
Okay.
Mommy, I listen to you. Okay. My
All right.
number 9, and I purposely put this song at number 9 because it's my favorite song, and I feel like a lot of her track 9 songs for her albums are just consistently amazing, is Dear John. So even though that was like a track 5, Dear John's my favorite song, so I was like, that needs to be in the 9th spot on my makeshift album, my mixtape, as some may say. And again, it's just great. It's 5-6 minutes of her yelling at this man, and I just love it.
I love that you called it a mixtape, considering that neither of you have ever owned an actual mixtape. or an actual tape.
Didn't you like burn CDs for us? Too?
We had cassette tapes at some point because my CD player played them.
But it's not something that you ever gone out and purchased.
I've listened to the Hamilton mixtape.
Yeah, it's called mixtapes, not a tape. But
It was mixed.
I'm just trying to make a point.
Not very good.
That you're old? We knew that.
Okay, I guess it's my turn now because he's giving me a look.
This might get edited.
So I also picked for my track 9 another very one of my favorite songs ever because it's track 9. And track 9 is my favorite of all the tracks. Like a lot of people when they talk about Taylor Swift tracks, they love track 5 because that's where All Too Well is and some other really important songs.
Track 5, I'm pretty sure.
But track 9 has always been my favorite. Like Enchanted, of course, is a track 9. Mm-hmm. But for this song, I picked Haunted off of Speak Now.
Apparently, one of my favorite sponsors just held up a note, and the note said, "We are never, ever getting back together."
Ever in all caps.
All caps. I may or may not have gotten the album wrong.
Someone may be sleeping on the couch tonight. Oh.
Oh, never, ever, ever.
Never, ever,
together.
ever getting back together.
So Dad may be sleeping outside tonight.
Anyway, back to my track 9. I put Haunted, also off of Speak Now.
Oh, we fought over Haunted.
Yes. And so what I did with this album is I worked my way up the soft songs and it's going to be the really intense songs, the angry songs, and work my way back down. And Haunted, when you listen to it for the first time, it's life-changing. It's this, she has a slow piano, this deep beat in the background, and she just sounds so heartbroken. I've never had heartbreak. I'm 16, barely 16. That's going to be a long way away.
It better be a long, long way to any young men out there listening to this episode.
If my little sister has heartbreak.
It's hot senior in my math class, though.
Hey, that's what's up.
But
we're having technical difficulties suddenly.
But this song, it's her most heartbreaking song to me. You could tell her heart was just ripped out by whoever did this to her. John Mayer. And you could just hear it in her voice, the pain she's going through. So I love it for that.
She doesn't love that she's in pain, but she feels it.
Yeah.
Taylor,
okay.
I'm so sorry you went through all of this.
But thank you for going through it so I wouldn't have to.
You turned out some bangers. Okay. Number 10. My number 10 is my other lover song, and it's Cornelia Street. Again, I have to emphasize, it's the Live from Paris version. Beautiful song. Her voice is beautiful.
Is this another Nashville Street?
No, I think Cornelia Street's in New York, isn't it?
And she has a apartment or penthouse there or something.
All right, that makes sense.
It's basically she's don't break my heart. Apparently Cornelia Street, something special between them. She's if you walk away, if you break my heart, I can never walk that street again because it's associated with you. Mm-hmm. It's a very good song, and just you can hear the emotion in her voice in the live version differently than you hear it in the studio recording. It's so much better. And I think too that's part of Sahara said she didn't get into Lover immediately. I feel like it also took me some time to get into Lover, but when you hear all those songs live, it's a completely different experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for my number 10 now. Number 10. I picked another intense, kind of angry Taylor song, and I picked Should Have Said No from her debut album.
Yeah.
Specifically, I can remember this one, this video of her at some concert, and it's her singing, and there's it's raining, it's not actually raining, but they made it rain, and she's raining, she's wearing this dress, and she's stomping around, it's just so much emotion, it's just such anger, and I love the feeling of that. She's should have said no. She's the whole song's about some guy cheating, and she's you should have said no, it's your fault, not mine, and I feel that song. I don't understand, I don't associate it with it, but the whole how dare you, it's his fault, he cheated,
audacity,
exactly, the whole anti-men thing. So
I raised you so well.
All right, number 11.
Yes, Everything Has Changed, Taylor's version, of course.
Featuring Ed Sheeran.
Featuring Ed Sheeran.
I like that song.
Yes. Now, when this first came out on Red, I love this song so much. It was my alarm that I woke up to every morning for a solid 3 years. I love this song.
The harmonies on that song are really good.
Just Ed Sheeran. I love to rag on Ed Sheeran.
Because he's a ginger.
Yeah, maybe just because he's a ginger. But he's just such a good artist. His voice is so good. Just the way that they harmonize, just like it's. I can't even explain it. I just love that song. I've loved that song. It's even better on Taylor's version, the one that she just released, especially because she owns it now, which is like cool as heck. But yeah.
Speaking of Red, the Taylor version, it is officially number one. This is her 10th number one,
as it should be.
And
which one did it make number one?
I don't know if it's 10th or that's right.
Yeah.
So she's joined Barbra Streisand as the only female artist to have 10 consecutive number one. Like that's big. That's
she also
big.
broke a record, I think, for like most
Grammys?
streams in a day or something. Like recently, like Spotify said, like All Too Well, I think when it dropped, had the most streams in a day on Spotify.
I thought that was Adele. Didn't Adele break that record?
Like first, just now.
She may have. That new Adele is.
Because it was Olivia Rodrigo who broke it when she dropped her album, and then.
But Taylor within the past week, like
just now. Okay,
records.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's Taylor Swift.
Of course she did.
No, you're gonna ruin your career if you re-record it.
No one's gonna listen to a 10-minute song. Me listen to it 7 times in a row.
Okay, well, let's see. There's 24 hours in a day. There's 10 minutes in the song. There's 60 minutes in an hour.
All right. All right, Sahara.
Number 11. My number 11 is Mr. Perfectly Fine, Taylor's version from the vault, off of Fearless, Taylor's version. And Fearless has never been my favorite album. Like, if I rank albums, it's probably my second to least favorite, like number 8 on my list. It's not nothing wrong with it, but it's a lot more country songs, and I'm not a country girl. I don't like that whole twang and country banjo. It's not my style. But when Mr. Perfectly Fine came out, right before the album dropped, I think I cried the first time listening to it. Like, honestly, this was such a good song. I love it so much. Like, it changed my opinion of Fearless. Like, it brought it up in my album ranking. I had to go listen to the whole album after that. I'm like, wait a second, this song's on here? I have to listen to the whole album now. And this song is very similar to another song that was on the album, Forever and Always. I think that's why I didn't make the album, because the songs are very, very similar. But I hadn't heard Forever and Always before. So I'm like, wait a second, 2 amazing, perfect songs. And the whole song is in reference to Joe Jonas, who broke up with her in some 27-second phone call. Like, it was a voicemail, actually, or something. And he dumped her over the phone. And she's like, you're fine, and I'm not. And I guess you're Mr. Perfectly Fine. You moved on real quick. I'm not. But you know what? It's fine. I'll move on anyway. And of course, people like to joke about it now, because when the song came out, Joe Jonas' wife would like post a video saying how much she loved the song. We're like, oop, I guess it works now. But of course, everyone knows that, like, Taylor and Joe are good friends now, and
we like the Jonas Brothers.
They were, roughly the same age.
See, they were 19 when he did that stupid thing. Not a 30-year-old man doing stupid nonsense.
Yeah, 19-year-old boys do stupid things, but he was dumb and young too. So.
It's more excusable when you're 19 and
he wasn't grooming her.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I just looked it up really quick. So Taylor broke 2 records on Spotify when she dropped Red. She broke the record for the most streamed album in a day by a female artist the day it was released. And then she also broke a record for the most streamed female in a single day. So I don't know if Adele's passed it in the past couple of days since she just dropped her album, but Taylor broke records when she dropped Red.
With a re-recorded album. Not the first album we've all heard before.
Yes, songs we've heard before.
Yeah, we listened to again just because we don't want to support that original jerk. We don't talk about him.
Also, shout out to Adele, though, for announcing her 19th release, because in case y'all didn't know, the day that Taylor was supposed to release Red was the day that Adele's album came out. And so a couple weeks before, Taylor moved up her release date a week, so it wasn't on the same day as Adele's release.
She's smart.
Thank you,
respect.
Adele.
That's respect.
For letting us get it a week early. So now I have 2 weeks. I had a week of recovery after Taylor, so then I could go into Adele sobbing just as hard and wouldn't have to choose.
We up to 12?
Mm-hmm. We are up to 12. Okay, the last time, Taylor's version, this came off of Red. Now, this was not a vault song. This was originally on Red, and I don't know why it hit so different this time around, but it just did. I don't know, just her voice, and who's the guy on the song? I forget his name, but whatever other man is singing on that song with her, their voices just meshed together so well, and it's such like a heartbreaking song. I think the story of it's kind of like this is like the end of a breakup, and so some points of it are like him coming over to apologize, but then other parts are like her on the other side of the door, like hearing the apology. And it's like, this is like the last time we're going through this. It's very heartbreaking. It's very sad, but it's a great song.
I just looked it up. The song features Gary Lightbody.
Yeah, I have no clue who this man is, but
his voice in the song.
Dude's got a voice.
Even 10 years ago when they first came out with the song.
Yes, because I've been I had to listen to the song right before it came out on Taylor's version because I refused to listen to the original for obvious reasons. And I was like, this is a good song. But then hearing it on Taylor's version, it's beautiful. So I'm upset that I've been missing out on it for the past decade, but I'm glad it's here now.
So according to Wikipedia, Gareth John Lightbody is a Northern Irish singer, songwriter, guitarist, and multi-instrumentalist. It says OBE. I don't know if that's like the name
oboe?
of a group or something.
that your
so he's associated.
fraternity?
So, you know what? It's Phi Beta Sigma. It's
Ob.
not O Beta Sigma. Okay, I'm not even getting to that. He's associated acts Snow Patrol. Okay, so maybe he's from Snow Patrol. I've actually listened to this. Okay. That's okay, so that's what it is. He's actually one of the lead singers in Snow Patrol. I've actually heard of that group before. I can't name any of those
Paw Patrol?
songs. Not like Paw Patrol. Snow Patrol. I've actually heard them before. They actually have some good music. I can't name a song from them, but
Can't be that good then.
you know what? You guys were just talking about how much
I
you
can put
really
the theme song for Paw Patrol, can't I?
You guys just said how much you enjoyed the song. But never mind. That's who he is. All right. Sahara, you're number 12.
Okay, so my number 12, I've gotten past all those like intense, angry songs, and now I'm going back into like that softer side. And so my number 12 is The Lakes, the bonus track from Folklore. My second favorite song of all time, and specifically, I'm not sure the exact name of it, but on Folklore's 1-year anniversary over the summer, she released a new version of The Lake, like the full orchestra version, specifically that version of the song, because it's so good. Like, I love the song originally, but then hearing it with the full orchestra, like, it's life-changing, honestly. The whole song is just,
So you like the orchestra version over the Long Pond version?
Yes, and I love the Long Pond version, but this one, like, with a full orchestra, like, most songs I prefer, like, from Folklore, I prefer the Long Pond studio version.
Yes.
But with this one specific song with the lakes, it's gotta be the orchestra version. I remember, like, when it first came out, me and Savannah had gone to the beach that day, and we come back, and we have, like, blasting windows down, driving down the road, and it was, like, the perfect day ever. Like, honestly, like, and that song was a big part of it, so.
Okay.
So I was just
Lucky 13. Oh, what were you going to say?
Oh yeah, I was looking at the lakes really quick, see all the different versions of it, and I looked at another Folklore song, Hoax, which is another favorite of mine that did not make my album, and now I'm upset about it. But yeah, Lucky 13. So 13, because I know it's her lucky number. This is actually I would say one of my favorite songs, and I didn't rank it over Dear John simply because Dear John has been my favorite for years. Whereas Folklore has only been out a year and a half or so. But Exile, specifically the Long Pond version, but Exile is a song with Bon Iver, and when this album came out...
I always thought it was Bon Iver.
I could not tell you.
Oh no,
but
probably French or something.
Folklore came out, the way Exile, for some reason I fixated on that song specifically and would play it on repeat without fail. And then when she dropped the Long Pond studio version, which is just a sadder version, more emotional version.
A sadder version of the sad song?
Yeah.
Okay.
So specifically the Long Pond studio session version, you can just hear the difference. They're both beautiful songs, but something about, I don't know what happened up in that cabin in Long Pond, but sis was going through it. So Song 13 almost beat out Dear John, but I couldn't do that to Speak Now.
All right.
Okay, so for my Lucky 13, I picked Lover from Lover, another one of my favorite songs. Specifically the live from Paris version, because the live version is always better for that album, and not like the weird one where she like threw in Shawn Mendes, which is okay, but it's better without him. No offense, Johnny.
All right,
but
I'm gonna have to add this live from Paris onto my Spotify.
like
playlist.
Lover is good, but live from Paris,
Every
10 times
single song
better.
she has that's live from Paris.
It's just better.
Off that
Okay.
album,
No questions asked.
better.
Okay.
Simple. But the live from Paris version of Lover, it's so good. I mean, it's the title track of the album, so you know it has to be a pretty great song. And then the music video as well is also just amazing. And I love that song so much. It's so happy. Like a lot of her songs, people like to say, "Oh, she's all about breakup songs," but her love songs are just so beautiful. Like you could tell, especially going through the years, like her beginning albums, a lot of them were a lot more anger, like how dare you suck, screw you, Jake Gyllenhaal, you know.
But then you also have like the love stories. It's the like those are just
And then,
so...
but once you reach Lover and King or like Reputation, you can tell that she's in love. Like the current guy she's with, like she's just so in love right now, and it's so obvious in her writing of these songs, like Lover, Cornelia Street, King of My Heart. You can
As
tell.
she should be after all the men that put her through all of it growing up.
But right now, it's very obvious that she's in love writing these songs, and it makes it 10 times better.
Okay. 14.
Cool.
We're in the home stretch.
My number 14 is Peace, again from Folklore. And this is kind of like rounding out my album, so it's less of the anger and more of like that acceptance part of the stages of grief. And I mean, you can tell by the title, it's called Peace. It's just a very peaceful, like happy, like, you know, I've gotten through it. Like, it's just a good song. It's just so good. All of her songs are so good. My goodness.
Okay, so for my number 14, I have Wildest Dreams off of 1989. Once again, 1989. Yes, I know, Dad. Don't do that whole "I told you so," blah blah blah. It's my favorite album nonsense. Because I see you doing that with your head over there. Yeah, I can. But Wildest Dreams, I love that. I quote that song so often, or like I had it as my ringtone for a while. Wake up to it in the morning. Like, how can you just not love the whole idea of her standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset? Like, it's just so happy and calming. It's like, especially with other songs of the album, like Blank Space, especially if you watch the music video, like the whole time she's like stabbing cakes and throwing things out the window and setting things on fire. And but with this song, just much more peaceful, and I really like that about that. So
Okay. 15. So you each have 2 left.
Okay, so this is my first and only Evermore song. Not to say that I do not love Evermore with my whole heart, but because it's such a recent album, I feel like I have a lot of other things on here that I could not put on my thing. But Evermore is beautiful. Go listen to it. But Closure from Evermore. Again, kind of following the thing of my album now where I'm kind of like, you know, rounding it out, coming to a close. And Closure really is just about like getting closure. It's a very beautiful song. It's a very like, her voice is almost like chilling and haunting, but still like, you know, you can tell she's grown. She's matured. Like this is today 30-year-old Taylor and not like teenage Taylor. You can really hear it.
Okay. Sahara, you're 15?
I'm not 15. Oh, my song number 15. I'm sorry. I thought you meant age. I'm not 15, Dad. Like, get it wrong quite often, but I'm not 15. So my 15 is The Story of Us. Once again, no surprise from Speak Now. And this song, like, it's so good. The story, it's another calming song. It's not like super intense, but like it's upbeat, but it's slow at the same time, and it's just a good way to start ending out an album, just to slow it down. The Story of Us is it's a good way to end an album. I think that's just a very good closer. It's a story about us, their life story. It's if we break up, tell your kids about me. It's a good way to end a relationship, to end an album.
Like a tragedy now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Did we in your opening?
Yeah, we already talked about our
16?
Our 16th song, and I had Enchanted for mine again.
Mention them again because I totally forgot.
I had Clean off
Okay.
of 1989.
And you had Enchanted.
Enchanted off of
Okay.
Speak Now once again.
Okay. So are you happy with your choices? Would you have? I know, Savannah, you mentioned a couple of things you would have added if you had an option, but also if I had told you in advance that you could have the same songs on each, what were the songs that you each fought over that you were like, all right, you can have that
Well,
one. But
it
I'm
was a
taking
couple because Savannah already knew that she was leading Enchanted. She didn't even bother with that because that's my song.
That I really wanted, but I knew that like
I wouldn't.
Sahara was not.
I'd bite her head off.
Didn't even bother.
Enchanted.
So it's a top song of yours also, and it would have been on the list. Okay.
Enchanted's easily one of my favorite songs.
And I said absolute favorite.
Now what's one that you gave Savannah that?
It wasn't a lot of give and take. It's more of a this is my song.
Yeah,
deal with it.
Negotiating it was you cannot touch this song. Don't even ask.
Like Haunted, we kind of went back and forth about, and like I was gonna let her have it, but she needed more from her album anyway, so I took it.
Yeah.
I didn't have any specific songs. Like her choices are good, but
like Cornelia Street, I had
Cornelia Street. That was a struggle for me. But her album,
some of these she just didn't want. Like,
yeah, like
some of Taylor's
older song.
stuff.
Like if she wanted 15,
I like Taylor's older stuff, and you
is
didn't go
15
up
on your list
it.
still?
15 on the list.
I would have gotten rid of it. No offense, I love Taylor Swift, but like that's it. Maybe makes my top 120 songs. Like it's not.
You're disgusting.
And I was just 15. Like mind you, I turned 16 all of a month ago. I was 15 for listening to this song. Just I did not feeling like. Of course, when I was 15, I was doing virtual school during the pandemic, and just hearing her remind me, like, "Oh yeah, freshman year, and I'm gonna be here." I'm like, "Yeah, not my freshman year's in my home, in my bedroom." And like, it was kind of just made me miserable listening to it. So like, I was very against 15. Like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, living your best life," and I'm at home. Good for you, but no, thank you.
So what I'm hearing a lot from the choices you both made for your songs, it was about a place, about a time. You know, whether it was driving somewhere, listening in the car with me, but having it as your ringtone. You know, that you mentioned a song that you guys had a beach day, so it was like a sister connection. So do you think you both really even more love Taylor Swift because it's something that you both have in common? So it's like, of all the different things you like or dislike, here's a common bond. Is it something as sisters that kind of makes you smile a little bit more because it's something you can both agree on?
Sort of. Like, there's a lot of times that we fight. Like, we were not close when we were younger. We were just mean to each other. Well, she was mean to me. I was the good one. Yeah.
It was both ways. Hold up.
Sure it was. Okay. But especially since she left for college, I think Taylor Swift yeah, Taylor Swift just like brought us together. Like, I remember when Red Taylor's Version dropped, and so we're on FaceTime at like 1 a.m. Did you hear that, Savannah? We're like, crap. Or when she dropped the short film the next day for All Too Well, and I call her at 2 a.m. I'm like, Savannah,
so we're gonna talk about that now. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the scarf around the neck. Let's talk about All Too Well, the 10-minute version. And I really
10-minute diss track.
And I really want to hear your opinion because nobody does a diss track like Taylor
Swift. Yes, she does.
Because it's like with rappers, you know who they're talking about. Sometimes they do subliminal messages, but everyone,
Dear John, you know who she's talking about.
Everyone with Taylor, it's like, even though she doesn't come right out and say stuff, but she puts very specific things that people can kind of sleuth their way through and do their detective work. But let's talk about All Too Well. And look, I'm not saying that I'm on Jake's side, but
we're kind of mean to him.
But all I'm saying is this happened years ago,
and now he's getting like hate mail. Like, how dare you?
They dated for what?
3 months.
For 3 months.
Yeah, they weren't even together long.
So, but
that's what the Twitter memes are saying.
But my point to being is that be careful with how you treat people, regardless of whether it's for a minute, for 5 minutes, or for 3 months. I'm just going to say he should have known better.
You should have known.
Yeah, he should have known better. And you know what? So be it. He, you know, the fact that, you know,
grooming a 19-year-old.
He dated, you know, probably one of the most famous young women in the world at the time. And definitely now. But again, I'm sorry. And I'm saying this to you old men that are sniffing around these young girls. It doesn't make you cool. I'm sorry.
Just creepy, buddy.
It's creepy.
The fact that means that all the women your age realize how stupid and immature you were.
Exactly,
so you're hunting for teenagers.
Saying. Like, why? Like, what is so wrong with you that you could not get a woman your age? Especially these rich, famous.
He's rich and famous.
I mean, you're like, if you're 50 and she's in her 30s, late 30s or whatever.
That's not as weird.
She's an adult. she's lived a life.
Not a high schooler.
Not a 19
and a grown man.
Not a college
21
student.
was supposed to
just
be fun.
just because someone's in college and then living away from home,
Doesn't mean
sorry, they have not lived a life.
Isn't it true like the brain doesn't fully develop till what 26? Like it's creepy.
Different places.
Why would you want?
What do you have in common?
She's not even legally allowed to drink. Like what do you?
What do you have?
You can't go to bars or something. Like, what do you want?
You both like Marvel movies.
I mean, what?
Yeah, all right. So I really want to hear your thoughts on the song and the video, which you both really like. And who were the two actors? I know one of the actors was from
Stranger Things.
From Stranger Things. She joined in season 2. She's the redhead young lady.
And then Dylan O'Brien from Teen Wolf and Raise Runner.
All right,
and
I'm a fan of Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah.
First, let's talk about the genius that is Taylor Swift, because Sadie Sink and Dylan O'Brien, their actual ages are the same ages of Taylor and Jake when they were together.
Okay.
That was
wow.
And like a lot of background about the album, like when she first released this song, the original All Too Well, she didn't really think it would blow up. But, like the fans went crazy. We loved it. And
what year did this album come out?
2012.
2012. So when did Twitter? I'm just trying to think of where we were.
Out in 2012?
I just can't remember time frames.
I was like 5.
So because it had to have been played into it, whether it was Facebook or something.
Something made it blew
Twitter
up.
was out in 06, Dad.
Okay.
We ain't even close.
So I haven't.
Maybe it's when Instagram blew up or Snapchat or something.
Something had to have been out at the time that kind of added to the fuel
Just
that made it memes, things like
tell.
that. Yeah.
She mentioned something about 3 months. Like, oh, it's a 3-month thing. When they talked about the scarf, like it
used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-sized bed. If you scroll down on Jake Gyllenhaal's Instagram page, there's a picture of him as a little kid with these huge round glasses on.
Yes. Or if you look at pictures of like Taylor, like it's not a red scarf in real life, but if you've seen pictures of them together, her wearing a scarf, and then later there are pictures of him wearing that scarf.
Yeah.
Like there's two
people were hunting.
People and Taylor's fans, we're crazy.
Well, because she has all these like hidden messages in her songs, so now we're always looking for stuff. Like we can find anything out.
When she released that one like Saturday morning before I went back to school, and we did like the crossword puzzle.
So Taylor Swift, when she dropped Fearless, like she had this like Instagram post and it was like from the vault, and it was a vault thing.
This is the Taylor version.
And Taylor's version. And so it had all the songs coming out of the vault in like out of order, and unscramble the words. But when she dropped Red, what she did is she had it like this, the songs came out of the vault in like out of order and stuff. But it ended up being a word search instead of it
ended up being
anagram.
Instead of like you have to unscramble it, like everything was like 13 letters long or something, or like 12 long, like just completely random letters. So it turns out we like rushed
because we were coming home from the eye doctor appointment, and I saw because we got the Instagram notification. I go, oh, and Savannah almost crashed the car. I'm like, Savannah, what is this? Savannah, go drive faster, pull over or something, and we're freaking out. Trying to figure out what's going on. So as soon as we get home, I pull out my iPad, open the notes app, and we start writing things down. Like, what's going on? We're already on Twitter, texting all of our friends. Do you see this? I see this.
We recorded it because you can't pause stuff on Instagram the way this video was. So we screen recorded
slowed it down, played it backwards.
Wrote every single letter out in a grid into a crossword puzzle, and then we looked for songs. And then we found all the song titles, and then if you went to her website, you put them in the order you thought they were, and every time you got one right, it would confirm it, and that's how people got the track list.
You know what? I just realized something.
We're crazy.
Taylor Swift fans are the equivalent of comic book fans in the sense of you guys decipher, find Easter, like people that love Marvel and DC and all that stuff. They find every little hidden message.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm not saying one of them, assign their own messages and meanings to things, but I think it's impressive that her fan base is so protective. Now, sometimes it can
it's too much and we're dangerous.
Attack people and it's dangerous. And I'm not going to say anything about a famous singer from Houston because I don't want them coming after me. She's my favorite singer. I don't want them coming after me. But sometimes, as fans, we can take it a little bit too far. We don't always have to go hard after someone that they're having a beef with. I'll just leave it at that. But as a fan, as a father whose daughters really love Taylor Swift, I love Taylor Swift too. I ain't gonna lie. I listened to it. There's a reason why I played it for them, because this young lady is talented. Her songs, you can sing along to them. She has songs for every mood. But I think probably 1989, it's just a song you could throw it on and you can rock out to it, and that's cool. There's a lot of things in the world that you probably don't want your kids listening to, and unfortunately they listen to them anyway, probably because they heard me listening to them.
Probably.
But
Definitely.
I didn't introduce you to Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, you did. Starships are meant to fly.
No,
now
Super
21.
Bass.
Stuff was
Super
a gateway
Bass.
drug, though. I feel
Super-
like M's done enough collabs
Super
with
Bass,
Nicki.
Super Bass, maybe. But
The
then,
Just Dance Super Bass
You
edition?
bought us
Yeah.
Just Dance.
that's what it is.
Sound the alarm.
So it's Just
Pound alarm.
Dance. It wasn't me.
It was you indirectly by purchasing Just Dance.
Just Dance, but it was to exercise. It was for health reasons.
But Taylor Swift, she's known for her hidden messages, her Easter eggs, that's what we call them. Like, we will break down everything word she says, every interview, every message,
Instagram post,
every
the
music
color
video.
that she wears.
The lights color changes, like, because usually, years later, we'll find, pieces of stuff that she hinted at years ago, finally
Before
coming
she
out.
dropped red, she was wearing a lot more red out and about. I'm
And,
just saying.
the way she styles her hair is a lot of hints, that's how she changed from album to album. It was usually different
Different
hairstyles.
eras.
Different eras with different hairstyles. Like, her country phase, Speak Now, Fearless, and her debut album, she had this big curly hair.
curls.
And then for Red, she cut some bangs, straightened it, and then for 1989, when she went full pop, she cut it even shorter. It's a way to tell that she changed. Even there was this one phase where she, bleached her hair, and we have this huge theory that there's, a secret album between 1989 and Reputation, and also, there's all sorts of, messages behind that, she's having an order every 2 years, and in 2 years from that, she didn't drop an album, there was another album, it's this whole crazy hot mess that we've been, using her Easter eggs to find, and especially with this specific song, All Too Well, it's a lot of hidden messages and, short little digs at Jake Gyllenhaal that, it's not explicitly saying it was
saying a
him.
word.
Without saying him, we all know it was him.
So it's one of those memes. Tell me that this is about Jake Gyllenhaal
Without saying
it's
Jake
about
Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Pretty much.
That's exactly the whole song.
Okay.
And there's, this one specific lyric, and it goes...
The joke one.
Yeah. And she goes, I'm not good at telling jokes, but the punchline goes, I'll get older, but your lovers stay my age. And
Mind you, she wrote this a decade ago, and he's currently dating some 25-year-old chick.
And he's 40. And it's the funniest thing. She wrote this when she was 19, 20, and it applies 10 years later, which is another reason we're all mad at him. Boy, did you not learn?
You didn't learn after the first time?
20 years later, you're still dating girls half your age. Is no one going to question that? And it just shows how great she is at songwriting, that she can call him out even 10 years later and still be yeah, buddy, I've moved on, I'm doing better, but look at you.
So I think what you just made a point of saying, and I think is important, and it probably goes to her longevity, is, except for maybe the first album, her songs don't feel dated.
Exactly, it's not a specific
even
time.
the
Girl's
sound.
24.
Even
My
the,
bad. And
And how
he's
old-
currently 40. There's a 16-year age gap between him
Yeah.
and his current girlfriend.
So even the sound, whether it's the arrangement, the orchestration, everything, her songs don't. Some artists that you listen to, some songs.
I'd say that they never
sound
go out of
the-
style.
That's a good. But yeah, some artists, they are very stuck in a specific era, and when you go back and listen to it, it just doesn't feel the same, and you may not enjoy it as much. So I think there's a reason that she's had staying power, and it's well deserved. So kudos to her for this, for Fearless, and then now Red. In terms of the Taylor's versions, I'm curious to hear what 1989 sounds like, because even I can hear differences between
The original
the
and the new
original
version.
version and the new versions of 22, because that was probably one of my favorite songs. And I can actually hear the difference when I'm listening to it
She's
now.
matured.
So I'll be curious to hear if there's as much of a difference with the albums that were later. So you're talking about 1989
And Reputation,
where because they weren't that far away. So
I am waiting for Speed.
And
now
then,
so bad.
when she released the short film for All Too Well, a lot of the short film played on the power dynamic between him being 10 years older than the girl, and even now, after I watched, I have like, I'm a big fan of Teen Wolf. I've started watching it. I have,
I can't even look at that man right now.
and
I'm
like
sorry.
right now, like watching
He's
Teen
just
Wolf,
portraying a role.
I get so mad. Like, I feel like I've been personally gaslit by Dylan O'Brien. Like, there's this one scene where he goes, I don't make you feel that way. You're making yourself feel that way. And I was crying at 3 a.m. Like,
The way that she spoke so eloquently too, and then every other word out of his mouth was cursing.
like, screw you. And I'm like, whoa, calm down.
Hilarious. I was like, this.
And like, I feel like that's a lot of hints to how that relationship actually was. And there's this one interview after when the film came out, and it's Dylan O'Brien, and this interview goes, oh, so the song's about Jake Gyllenhaal, and he like nods his head at first, and he goes, no, shakes it real fast, like he gave it away, like he wasn't supposed to, but we all know.
My character's name was like Steve.
It was like,
something.
my name was Brian.
It was Rake Billendahl. So to close it out, and I gotta say, ladies, this has been really fun. You both have an open invitation to come back whenever.
And yell at you about Taylor Swift and how Kanye
About
sucks.
anything. I'll send you a list of upcoming episodes, and you guys can kind of pick when you want to come back. And, Savannah, even when you're back in Nashville, we can record remotely, so we can have some fun. I really enjoyed this. So the last thing, favorite videos.
Favorite videos. So I mentioned You Belong With Me earlier off of Fearless when I didn't know the two girls was the same one. But like the whole music video, it's Taylor Swift, and she's this like nerdy girl, has a big glasses, on the band team, and the guy across the street from her, and her neighbor is some guy she likes, and he's dating this popular cheerleader, stuck up, short skirts, all sorts of nonsense, and Taylor's like, and she's like jealous because she's in love with him, and eventually he realizes and moves on to her. But like the whole music video is just, it resonates with me so much now, because now I'm in high school, and like looking back, of course when I first watched it, I was like 7 at the time, like it didn't really mean anything to me now, but like I can see it's like, oh yep, I know a guy just like him, oh I know a girl just like her, that same outfit, same whack attitude, and it means a lot to me more now than it did back then.
Okay. Vanny?
So earlier I did mention Blank Space, and I think I was going to say that is my favorite music video, but I forgot to tell y'all. The Story of Us, that music video was recorded in Central Library, which is one of the libraries on my campus that I'm in all the time studying. So I might have to go with The Story of Us.
Vanderbilt University. Proud papa.
Simply because I have like walked down the halls and like sat in the same rooms that Taylor Swift was in to record that music video all those years ago. That's where I get.
Okay.
But then again, Blank Space was
But
probably
Blank
her most
Space was just so
iconic
good.
music video. Like you see that,
It
and
was
you know.
very iconic, you know, the
The
pool,
pool,
makeup.
because like the whole story behind Blank Space was that like a lot of people were like hating on Taylor Swift at the time, and they think she's some crazy serial dater who goes around, dates guys, then breaks their hearts and writes horrible songs about them.
She likes Starbucks lovers.
And then she goes, "That's what you think about me? I'll make a song about that. You want to see me like this? I'll show you
Think
me
I'm
like
crazy?
this."
I'll show crazy.
And like the whole song is her like jealous of some guy, and she's throwing stuff out the window, setting on fire, breaking his expensive car, like with a golf what's a golf stick?
Golf club.
Golf club.
Very much Beyonce and Lemonade with the baseball.
You know
bat.
what? It's funny you mentioned that. Taylor Swift is also a really popular songwriter for other people. She wrote "Before He Cheats"
I was just about
for
to say that was my
Carrie
other
Underwood.
example of beating
So
up
it's
a car.
like, yeah, that's so when you mentioned that with the all right, go ahead. So,
But
Blank
yeah,
Space.
that wasn't kind of, and then of course my favorite is still "You Belong With Me."
Okay.
But then the "Look What You Made Me Do" music video, that was just full of because a lot of it was like her hinting back to her past versions of herself. Like there was one line where it goes, Taylor can pick up the phone right now because she's dead. And there's this one scene in the music video, and it's current Taylor, like in her Reputation outfit, at the top of this like tower of all the other versions of Taylor Swift, like crawling up, trying to get to the top, and like they're being cut down by lasers, and it's just the coolest thing, like referencing to her past, and of course more Easter eggs and hints about the future, and we analyzed that to no end.
Okay.
I do more analysis of Taylor Swift than I
do
do
homework.
for, like English classes.
I like and I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. What's the song I like with
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Kendrick
the
Lamar.
video for that with Kendrick Lamar.
And Zendaya.
It's just it's so
Zendaya,
futuristic, and it has all her glam squad, her whole
window,
crew.
roundhouse,
Yeah,
walls, and
her whole
tennis
crew,
stars
isn't
and
it? I like the
crashes.
whole sci-fi feel of it. But yeah, so there we have it. Would you believe it? We've filled out over an hour and 15 minutes.
That's it. Girl, I got
Easy.
more to talk about.
So, we talked about favorite songs, we talked about favorite albums, and you both gave your ultimate Taylor playlist, and then we talked about favorite videos. So if there's anything that each of you, like if you had one last thing to say about your love of Taylor Swift, what would it be?
I'd like to talk about her relationship with her friends. People want to talk about her exes and her boyfriends. I want to talk about her and her close
and
girlfriends. Of course, Selena Gomez, one of her best friends, besties for life, and I grew up on Selena Gomez and Wishes Waverly Place, so that's a lot to me. But specifically, I was mentioning Blake Lively. Now, her and Blake Lively are really, really close friends. Actually, Blake Lively directed her most recent music video. I Bet You Think About Me, Taylor's version from The Vault.
Okay.
But specifically, I'm talking about how on Reputation, the song Gorgeous, at the very beginning, it's a child's voice saying gorgeous, and the child is Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' daughter, James.
Probably one of my favorite couples.
And then, when she wrote Folklore, there's a lot of people, mentioned in the songs, James, Betty, and Inez, or is that James, Betty, or August, is that the third one's name? August. But those three names, the names of all three of Blake Lively's kids, their relationship, I just think is so cute, and people want to talk about her exes, but I want to talk about Taylor Swift and how good she is to people around her and how kind she is, or when she
and
wrote
to her fans. She does before COVID. She does a lot of private listenings for fans. She'll select fans to do listening sessions.
Another thing for fans, she wrote this song called Ronin about this little boy who died from cancer because the mom was writing a blog about his life story, and Taylor found it and just fell in love with it and wrote this song, and all the proceeds went straight to charity, and I just think that's the sweetest thing. 'Cause I think the song,
If you guys haven't heard it on the new album,
the saddest song you will ever hear. It is painful. Don't listen to that album on shuffle because it goes straight from Ronin to 22 and you'll be sobbing and jumping and either way. But I think that's the most important thing about her. Besides her amazing songwriting, singing, performing, all of that, I think her character is the best thing about her.
Okay. Savannah?
I just love Taylor Swift. Go stream Red, Taylor's version.
So from what I hear from you, if you guys get the chance, that's on your bucket list is to see Taylor Swift
In concert?
In
Oh,
concert.
1,000%.
I'm waiting for her
Would
drop
sell
to.
a win.
It's yes.
Whenever she announces on tour, I don't care how much tickets cost.
I would
buy.
give her my firstborn child like Rumpelstiltskin.
I'm not even sure I want kids, but I would
Yeah,
have a kid
just
to
for
give
her.
to her.
One of my organs on the black market, you can have it.
Any of them.
Anything.
Pick one.
Sell you my house, sell you my parents. I don't care. No offense.
Tell
Dad.
my sister.
Right.
Sorry, Harold.
I'd love to be sold so you can see Taylor Swift. Trust me, I'd be so okay with that.
The sad thing is, I don't know how much you're joking and how
We're
much
not.
you're serious.
What do you mean joking?
I killed for that woman.
About what?
So at the end of the day, what I'm hearing is, Dad, thank you for introducing us to Taylor Swift. Yeah, I'm taking credit for this.
I also introduced
you
to
hear
Gold
through all the
Digger, but
earwax?
That's very funny.
I thought so too.
I'm laughing.
You know what, ladies? This has been a pleasure. You don't understand how much this has been a gift for me. Like I said in the beginning, I've been doing the Multifarious Man podcast since 2015. And even though my daughters don't always admit it, they do listen to the show.
You can't prove that.
But
Don't be telling people that.
But
We're going to go watch it live.
The fact that they agreed to be on this and it was a topic that they really like. When I mentioned it, they both immediately said, "Oh, absolutely. We'll do it." Yeah, you did.
He can't prove that.
I can prove it. And the microphone heard that.
You're this.
But I'm truly thankful. You both have been amazing guests, and you have a natural ability for this. I hope you know this. When your friends
Well,
hear
I got
this,
a face for radio now, too? Is that what you're saying?
wait,
Get it from your
wait.
father.
I don't have a face for radio.
You have eyebrows for radio.
Don't got a face for
Do you have a mirror?
You broke it. Got him.
Oh, the studio manager is giving us the sign that we need to shut down the
Start
episode.
looking for the lights like we're in the club. Not that I would know.
But again, this has been an amazing episode of the Multifarious Man podcast. Thank you again, Savannah and Sahara, for really just being such gracious guests, and just like being totally honest on. And my beautiful wife, Akina.
Not Mama's the afterthought. We wouldn't even be here without
whose favorite album is
Red.
I got it right this time.
Took you long enough.
But thank you for being part of this episode, and I'm gonna hold you to it. I look forward to you being guest again. There's an open seat, open microphone.
Go up next time.
There's an open microphone for both of you. So I'm looking forward to having you back again. And thank you. This is another episode of the Multifarious Man podcast. And after the break, we'll close out the show. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Good night.
We'll be right back.
And good mental health.
Welcome back to the Multifarious Man podcast, episode 605, Tailor Made. Once again, thank you for tuning in to this episode. I hope you had as much fun listening as I did recording. I definitely have to have my daughters back again for a future episode. So, who knows? Maybe your feedback, your comments, let us know how they did and perhaps what you'd like to hear them on in the future. So with that, have yourself a great day. Once again, the Multifarious Man is out of here. The Multifarious Man podcast is produced and edited by Multifarious Man Productions. Your host is John Michael Vincent, aka the Multifarious Man. Original music and lyrics by John Michael Vincent.
Numerous and varied, greatly diverse and manifold. All the things I want to say that never been told. Demon Sinatra to Drake and Pharrell. When I'm listening to this week, you can never tell. Bogey and Bacall, even Meryl Street. The devil wears Prada, even the big sleep. It doesn't matter where you stand. I'm the Multifarious Man.